All right, guys.
So,
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live stream. Um, this is the first of such to come. So the purpose of today's live stream is mainly to provide some guidance on the US application process, especially for PhDs. I have with me here Dr. Amaka, who I would say recently completed her PhD. So she's,
not that recent again.
she
Time
has all
flies,
the
Dr.
gist.
Banda. It's going to be 1 year very soon. By
Yeah,
December, it
yeah,
will be 1 year.
that's true.
So
Time flies like,
time flies,
yeah.
yeah.
So I would like Dr. Amaka to introduce herself briefly, what she does. I know she's well known on LinkedIn. So if you are here because of Dr. Amaka, you can give a thumbs up. Um, okay, so Dr. Amaka, kindly provide us with a short introduction of who you are, where you are from. I know anybody who hears your accent know exactly where you're from, what you do, and how you mentor or assist students.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me to come be on your show. I'm still kind of new to YouTube, so I'm always very confused with everything happening on YouTube, but I'm learning to figure it out and I'm following your footprint. So thank you for being such an inspiration. Let me start from there. My name is Amaka, as you can see from the screen, and I'm the founder and lead coach of Scholar Up Mentoring Academy. This is we are now over a year old. I actually showed up on LinkedIn when I was so stressed as a PhD student last year, right? So I showed up on LinkedIn because I was trying to find a way to just connect with more people, find an outlet. And honestly, Dr. Banda was one of the people that inspired me to just start sharing the journey and start sharing. And the more I received questions and feedback from aspiring students, I was like, okay, yeah, this is something I know a lot about, having gone through the process myself, right? So as Dr. Banda mentioned, you can hear my beautiful accent. It's Nigerian. Very proud to be Nigerian. So yeah, so I came from Nigeria in 2022 to start my PhD in Texas A&M, and then last year I founded Scholar of Mentoring Academy, where specifically we mentor students who are trying to come to the US for graduate school and then also for personal branding, because I believe that strategic visibility is also important, right? Sometimes who
Yeah.
you know will open more doors than what you know. I've seen that happen so many times. So that is really what I do in terms of the LinkedIn space. But on the flip side, actually, my PhD is in horticulture. So I'm an agricultural specialist and I currently work in the ag tech space. So I continue to maintain my career on the side, and I'm able to show
Mm-hmm.
professionals that you can just find a way to wear several hats and balance it and then just give your best to different areas that you've been blessed with. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Banda. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is supposed to be a question and answer session. So if you're watching us, if you have any questions, drop your question in the comment section. We will do our best to answer it. Today's episode is mainly focused on applying to PhD in North America, either in Canada or in the US. So if you have any questions about the process, feel free to drop your questions. But before we continue, if this is your first time on this channel, make sure you subscribe and share it with your fellow colleagues who may be thinking of applying to graduate school or looking for career strategy or how to even transition from one career to the next. We host graduate school program directors, deans of schools. We also host global health leaders in the field. In the coming days, we'll be bringing on other experts who also provide, materials or resources on graduate school and the rest. So if you're here, um, you're welcome. Uh, Dr. Maka, so before we start answering questions, can you kind of talk through how your own experience was like in terms of applying to graduate school? I know you, so you came here without a master's and directly into a PhD.
No, I have a master's degree. I
Okay.
had my
Did you do your
master's from
master's in Nigeria?
right. I did my master's in Nigeria.
Okay, okay. So how was your application process like? I know for public health, it may be a bit different from your field. So how was
Right.
your experience with the PhD application like?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. It's taking me down memory lane. It's like time has really flown.
Yeah.
feels like yesterday when I was exploring that process. So, like you were asking, I actually graduated from my bachelor's degree sometime in 2016 or so, and then I went on to get a master's degree in Nigeria there. So, while I was kind of wrapping up my master's degree, was I would say for me, I was very lucky to have like a mentor who had gone through the process. And that's why I emphasize mentoring now,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
it just shortens the curve for you
Yeah.
to be kind of following the step of someone who had done it before. So I had a mentor who was my lecturer back in school when I was in the school, Dr. Patrick. He was my lecturer, and then he left when I graduated from my bachelor's to come to the US for his PhD. So of course we stayed connected. By the time I was wrapping up my master's degree, I started reaching out to say, okay, now I'm ready. I'm ready to start the whole PhD process. What do I need to do? What is the steps for me? And I remember he just kind of walked me through the steps. It was like, okay, this is what you need to do. You have to start reaching out. First of all, identify programs that you are
Mm-hmm.
interested in. That's like the
Yeah.
first step, right? Which program do you want to do based on your experiences and your interest and what you have, so that you can prepare a competitive package. And so once I had that done, and I would say probably coming to the US for graduate school has been all through my life that is filled with a lot of rejections and struggles. That
Yeah.
has been the easiest for me. That's like
Mm-hmm.
one chapter that I would say, like, okay, maybe at this point, not just felt like I had suffered so much in my life, having I was rejected like for 5 years before I got into the university, right? So I had spent a lot of time trying to get to that point. But when I was at that point, I feel like I had matured a bit, and then I was willing to follow instructions. It's just about following instructions. So I identified Texas A&M University because they're like the top school in agriculture. I had gotten my bachelor's degree and my master's degree in plant sciences. So of course, it made sense to go that route. And in identifying that school, next thing I started looking at the faculties, like, okay, which faculty has a program that is in line with what I'm doing. And I started that outreach. I started reaching out to them, connecting with them. I remember I started applying for graduate school in 2021, May of 2021. That is actually
Okay.
when I started the journey, May of
Mm-hmm.
2021. So when I was trying to apply, I remember someone who had just gotten admission. She said to me, she said, "Don't submit your application because it's already late. The people for fall of 2021 has already been selected at this point.
Selected.
Your application money, this and that." But I was like, okay, it's like it was about $100 per application. They're about like
Mm-hmm.
$96. So I was like, yeah, well, if I waste $96, then I waste it. But I'm just going to keep moving forward. But just connecting with the advisor and getting the conversation going, and then figuring out the whole funding situation, which was like another process. Honestly, between May and July, I got an offer. So for me, it was one school, one application, just one trial. I
Oh,
just
great.
tried to. Yeah. So usually I don't have a lot of, when people hear the stories of, oh, I was rejected several years, I was like, okay, I have stories of rejections, but it was not in the process of grad school. By the time I
Yeah.
got to school, I was following a template. It was just like a template of secure an advisor, get someone who was willing to take you into their program, and we figured out the whole funding together. Okay, there is this scholarship. If you compete for it and you obtain this scholarship, it was an international scholarship that covered 50% of my graduate school. So my
Okay.
advisor said, if you're able to secure this scholarship, then I will match. I don't have over $50,000 to pay for 1 year of your PhD for however long it takes you to graduate. But if you compete for this scholarship, it's called the Borlaug International Scholarship. So Dr. Norman Borlaug is one of the top guys that did a lot of work in agriculture. So he's very passionate about Africa, about things like that, and agriculture. So it's an international scholarship, and it's very competitive. A scholarship that pays 50% of your education for how long you're in the PhD. So it's like, okay, go ahead and compete. If you secure this scholarship, then I would match. So that's how I came in. I actually went for that scholarship, almost missed the deadline, but eventually submitted. And by some luck, God's grace, was selected for that scholarship, and then my advisor now matched the other 50%. So I was admitted to come to the United States in July. I was supposed to start in August of 2021. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, Dr. Banda, when I was admitted, because of how close it was, I didn't even have a passport. So right now, I tell people, yeah, I didn't have a passport. That's how one prepared. Like you started the journey in May, June, July. By July, I had an offer, like between 3 months from when I started. So I was not expecting it that it was going to happen that fast. Like, has this really happened? Is this really real? So I had to start scrambling to get a passport, to get a visa. So I had to defer my admission. So that's why I started in the spring. I didn't start in the fall of that 2021. So I started in spring of 2022. So I did 22, 23, 24. Graduated December last year. So
Great.
that's the
Yeah.
summary of my story.
Okay. I mean that is a mix of experiences. And to think that you graduated in within 2 years, that is huge.
3 years. I did three
3
years.
years.
I did
Okay. Yeah.
22, 23, 24. Yeah.
24. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is still impressive. I mean, typically in the public health field, I think it's usually 4. If you're super focused, maybe 4 years, or 5. Some would take even up to 7 years.
Even in
But
my field, it's the
yeah,
same thing.
so it
Yeah.
takes a lot of dedication. So you made mention of uh I mean, definitely you had to write a statement. You needed a recommendation letter.
Right.
You have to prepare a CV, and if there's something that is important that you've mentioned, is the fact that even before you started, you had to do a lot of research. You have to identify the school, you have to
Right.
identify an advisor, you have to identify the program. And I think that is where most people fail. Most, international students, they will just reach
Right.
out and say, we are interested in applying to graduate school. Some don't even know the school they should apply to, right? So that component of preparing before you even approach someone for help or guidance is very important.
Right. Yeah. You're
Okay. So
absolutely you're absolutely correct. Yes.
yeah. So we have a couple of questions. We will dive in and then see how to respond to it.
Okay.
The first question. So if you're asking a question, please try and add where you're calling from or where you're watching us from, to provide a little bit of context. So this is from Hamza. Hamza says, I want to upgrade my WES to include the MBA I recently completed. Do you think it's a good idea, or should I apply with my MPH? I'm worried about the timeline of the evaluation process. Okay. So before we even address his question, Dr. Maka, when you are applying, did you have to go through the WES evaluation, or this is only for public health guys?
Oh no, it's dependent on the schools and the programs, right? And for some programs, it's not compulsory, especially when you have a strong degree that can be like that people can just look at your transcript on paper and see where you're coming from. Like in
Okay.
my own case, I had a first class degree for plant sciences, and then I had a distinction for my master's. So a West
Okay.
evaluation was not compulsory. Yeah, so most of the time it's like if there is no guarantee on how you can really present what you're coming with, then it's better to have that kind of standardized evaluation. But for me, I didn't really have to do it, and it wasn't compulsory for my program. So even within my school, some program require it, some don't. So it's all about
Oh,
those
okay.
research. They are doing all of those research to know what are the eligibility criteria for each program you're going into. So I guess I
Okay.
was lucky to skip
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think that is one thing about the other STEM programs. Not
Mhm.
all schools require you to do
Right.
a West evaluation, but as for public health, especially in the US, almost every program requires that
Mm.
you do a West evaluation. So
Okay.
there's a centralized application portal where every school, you apply to every school through that portal. Almost
Mm.
95% of schools is through that portal,
Okay.
and that portal will require that you submit your West evaluation.
I see. Oh,
So,
nice.
to Hamza's question, Hamza, if you're applying to a PhD program in a public health related field, then yes, uh, you need a West evaluation, and the West evaluation should include all degrees you've completed, as long as it's on your CV, or as long as you mention it in your statement of purpose. So if you have an MBA and you have an MPH, you have to do a West evaluation for the two. I mean, August is still early. The application cycle closes probably in December 1st for most priority admissions. So you still have time. August to December is quite some time. So you can still do the West evaluation and it will be completed. You just have to follow up with your school from time to time, to make sure that they are responding to their emails, or they are responding to requests from West evaluation.
Right.
So that is, I think that is what you can do. If you have already done a West evaluation before and you have an additional degree, all you have to do is to update or upgrade your West evaluation, and I think that can be done through the portal. So yes, it's a good idea. It's a good idea to do a West evaluation for your MBA, in addition to your MPH, unless you plan not to add your MBA to your resume or talk about it in your statement of purpose. Then you can take that risk. But as it stands now, I think
Yeah.
you did an MBA
Anything,
because yes, you have to do an
anything
evaluation.
that helps you stand out, you want to just take advantage of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any An MBA is a good addition. It shows rigor. It shows the work
exactly.
done. So you don't want to just leave that aside.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Hamza. So I hope your question has been answered. There's Solomon Abraham. If I'm to guess, maybe you're from Ghana. Um, he says, I'm a veterinarian with about 8 years of experience in private practice, little research experience, and few publications. Can I go for PhD direct in veterinary epidemiology without MSc? Um, so, Amaka, in your field, how easy is it for someone to go directly from a bachelor's to PhD? Did you have any classmates or any course mates who had
Right.
only bachelor's?
Yeah, we had a couple, but it's not very easy. It's you have to make a stronger case
Yeah.
because my field is research dense, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of research, and professors are making these huge investments, and people want people that will hit the ground running. So that's always like what the argument is. You have a bachelor's degree. What kind of research experience have you had, right? So
Yeah.
there's always that bias in their mind. So for you to actually make that case, then you have to be like a very proactive person that, okay, maybe during your bachelor's degree, the project you did, you pushed yourself to publish it, and all of those extra things that you can prove to show that, yes, even though I'm coming with a bachelor's degree, like in his case now, 8 years of experience, you can begin to make that case that, okay, my 8 years of experience can count for some sort of on the ground or in practical experience that can translate to, okay, I have the patience to do research, I
Yeah.
have the rigor, I have, and all of those. But for my field, it's not very easy. It
Yeah.
does take a bit more. like your case, you would be making a stronger case, because
Yeah.
mostly for almost all of our most of our field, it is always the professor that is funding for most of the time. It's not like a centralized system where like the department is paying for you and things like that. So it's like me, I'm the professor, I got the grant and I need to deliver on this grant. So the person is thinking in their mind, if I go just grab someone who just came out of a bachelor's degree, how many years would it take this person to
To
actually
prepare them.
understand, to
Yeah.
prepare them, to get going, and I have to respond because they also have their own pressure. Most times people don't understand the pressure that the professors are facing in
Yeah.
terms of like renewing their grants, getting this funding, the risks of being cut from the funding if they don't deliver on the promise. So they are also being as selective as possible. They are trying to get like, okay, who will be the best person that when they come into graduate school, I don't need to spend 1 year trying to get them to be ready for graduate school. Like they can literally come into graduate school and with little preparation, they can really like, take that
Yeah.
ownership because graduate school is just about ownership, right? It's about reaching that
Hmm.
point where you realize that it's you driving the process. You decide when you
Exactly.
graduate. You
Yeah,
decide when you
yeah.
graduate.
I mean, that's such an important point, and I'll say that is the same for even in the public health field. The applied public health. It's difficult to see someone with a bachelor's directly into a PhD. However, I've seen a few of such students, and their resume it's richer than someone with a master's degree or someone with
Yes.
even a PhD. I can tell you that. So it's I think if you have a bachelor's degree, the bar is higher. You really have to show that you're ready for PhD level research. Have
Right.
you had the experience of doing the research?
Mhm.
Even this is where publications becomes important.
Right.
If you can show that yes, you can write scholarly material even at the bachelor's level, then perhaps yes, they can give you the benefit of the doubt. But without that, it would be very difficult to get into um, a PhD directly without a master's. So, if I were to advise you, what I would say is that you should apply to both. Typically, that's what I tell mentees who come with the intention of applying directly into a PhD without a master's degree. You can pick a few master's programs and pick a few PhD programs and apply to both and see how it goes. But it's not really that easy. Okay, so the bar is higher. Um, I hope
I
your
guess
question. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that one thing you can do while you prepare for this process is to beef up your CV. Intentionally begin to find things that are on your CV that sets you apart. It's always the case because most of the time, the people who are applying for graduate school have stellar academic records. Most of the time. So
Yeah.
if the only thing you bring in with you is I have a first class, you will see 1,000 other people that have a first class. So that's not, it's not as, especially this generation where people have become more aware. People are now intentionally going to school with that plan of graduating and probably coming to the US or Canada. So people are more intentional about their grades. So begin to think about other things that you can have there on your CV, like outreach opportunities. Oh, I led this, I led that, I did this, I did that. These are some of the things that begin to set you apart as a unique candidate that will not be like something that everybody has on their CV. So that's something you can just intentionally work on your CV while you follow the advice that Dr. Banda gave, which is always good to spread your options. Apply for the
Yeah.
masters, apply for the PhD, and yep.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. Solomon says I'm from Nigeria, by the way. Okay.
Okay, you
Um.
want to mention?
Okay. Thanks for reminding me that you're from Nigeria. Okay. I think this okay, this also goes to answer the same question. I have one copyright, two preprint, and one patent under my name. Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah,
I've
that's good.
completed I've completed Bachelor of Engineering and want to get direct PhD admission. Um yeah, so as I indicated and Dr. Amaka also uh, added, it's certainly possible if you have the profile. But I think the most important starting point is for you to do a thorough research, a thorough background research programs that potentially can accept people with much bachelor's degree. There are some programs who just state outright
Yeah,
that you need
they
a
don't.
master's is a requirement. So you want to know the programs that typically admit students without masters, and then reach out, send a couple of cold emails with all your accomplishments, your resume, all those things, and then see what you get in terms of feedback. So I think this goes to add to our previous question. I don't know if Amaka, you want to add something to this.
Yeah, what I'm going to add is just as Dr. Banda said, this is a great profile going for you. Not everybody has a copyright and a patent. That's already something that would
Yeah,
probably make somebody read a second time. So that's good. Congratulations, right? So these are some of the things where you have something that you know that okay, this is already putting me in a smaller pool because not everyone will have something like this. So that's a good thing, but it's also very important to take your time to do the research. The work to get into graduate school, all of the work should be done before you submitted your application. A bulk, like a huge amount. It's just that most people get all those rejections and rejections and rejections because they skip that initial aspect. So they just go to the school portal and they apply, and you've not even built your network, you've not done any, you've not tried to connect with the professors, you've not tried to connect with people within the school. So figure out the schools where this is even possible, and then begin to kind of see if you can find other students within that school who got in directly from bachelor's degree. These are some
yeah,
of the people that you want to also kind of network with. So it's a lot of research, and it's definitely possible. People have done it. You just need
yeah.
to find those people and you know tailor your applications and follow the what they've done. And
Yeah. Last year, I had one mentee who went directly from bachelor's degree to a PhD. I mean, he got some of the most compelling offers from top programs. But I mean, once I saw his CV, I knew the reason why he was admitted. I mean,
yeah,
he had publications than almost all the PhDs I've
wow,
seen.
yeah. Mm,
Um, a lot of grants to his name, you know. So if you have
mm,
that profile, it becomes easier to convince people that you
right.
can actually do the work. Um, okay, so
Grants are very attractive to
yeah,
professors. If you
yeah,
can say, "Oh, I was part of this grant and it was fun," something that is like, "Oh, okay, this
yeah.
funding is a big part of this
It's a big,
process."
yeah,
So
it's
if
a
you
huge
know that
part.
you can find the money, that gives you that competitive advantage.
So Metab, I don't know where you're. Okay, Mumbai, India. Okay, all right. Yeah. So hopefully the response have been helpful. The next question would be Justice Apia Norma. Okay. I think this one is from Ghana. With with the current climate at Harvard, would you recommend that one apply to a PhD program for the upcoming cycle? Um, I mean, I wouldn't say don't apply, but certainly you are not applying to only one school. I know there are a couple of people, even in this climate, they are still coming to Harvard. I have like two or three people who have secured their visas, and they are coming to Harvard for graduate school. So it's not like, you know, it's a red flag, but certainly you would want to apply to other programs. There's also someone who got Harvard and Hopkins. Initially, she wanted to go to Harvard. She's done everything. She's requested for her I-20, and then the whole banter began between Harvard and the administration. And she said, "This is too risky for me," so she switched to Hopkins and got her visa. So she's, instead of Harvard, she's coming to Hopkins. So you should always, I always say that it's prudent for you to always adopt multiple strategies. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. What if you apply to only one school and you don't even get into that school? So you have to spread your wings, apply to multiple schools. If you get Harvard, that is great. Follow up with the I-20 and everything. There are still international students who are still coming to Harvard, so that shouldn't be a problem. Um, any additions?
Yeah, what I'm going to add to that is beyond Harvard, generally now in the US, at least for this administration, with the whole budget cut and funding issues, things I would say, in my opinion, I think things are a little bit tougher than it used to be just a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. So it's important to be aware of that. There's no need kind of pretending like this is not the reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that knowledge at hand, that should also help you to be more strategic in your outreach, to spread yourself out as much as possible, to try as much as possible to really really spread what you're doing. Don't just put your egg in one basket, because that basket could it
Yeah.
may not work out. Yeah, so that's just what I want to emphasize as yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the upcoming application cycle, especially for research-based programs, is going to be tough. Funding is drying up. Schools have cut down. Schools have cut down their admissions, um, because last year, for instance, Hopkins had to cut down their admissions by half, and I know most programs will do that. There are some programs who didn't even take up new PhD students. So
Yeah,
you have to certainly understand that, and to know that this year the bar is even higher than it used to be. So you
yeah,
have
that's
to really really do the homework.
right. And just one more thing to add. I had a couple of there were programs who, PhD students who were already students. It's like now
Hmm.
you have to graduate with a master's because we don't have funding for
There's
you
no
to
funding.
continue.
Wow.
Yeah, seriously, I had a friend who I'm kind of mentoring through the process now, and 3 years into a PhD, and they say, "Oh yeah, you were not really meeting up, and now the funding is gone. Now you have to take a master's and go because there is not."
Wow.
Yeah, so that's another tough. That's new. That was very new for me. I had not seen that happening, and he's really in the middle of navigating that. So the reason we share all of these things is just so that you are aware. It's just information, just so you know. Just as Dr. Banda said, the bar is becoming higher and higher, and it's not a time to do the bare minimum. If you, the way we say in Nigeria, if you do anyhow, you see anyhow. That's
Yeah.
really how the thing is now. So you cannot
Uh-huh.
afford to do anyhow. You have to really be very intentional about what is happening, because, like I said, even the professors are under pressure. The school administration is under pressure. So it's not just the pressure on the students. So it's just like an effect that goes down to everyone. So even when you come into school, you want to really, really do the best you can to always be meeting up with your expectations, so that you don't, face stories like this and somebody wakes up and say, graduate in December. So he's been given December to graduate, like graduate
Wow.
with a master's. Yeah. So
Okay. Anyway, Sunday Givayo. I don't know where you're calling from. I have a B Farm, an MPH EP. I would like to embark on PhD epidemiology in the US. Glad to know the procedure. Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
big
so
question. This
I
is the
mean the
thing that you were talking
procedures.
about at the beginning, right? It's like
Yeah,
you want to know the procedure,
the
okay.
procedure start with doing your own research, right? Just go to Google and say how to apply to a PhD in the US. Whichever field you want to, you can check programs that offer PhD in epidemiology, the specific field of epidemiology. Look for faculty, reach out to faculty. So it's a long process, but you have to do your due diligence, and do your due diligence is even part of the learning process. It's part of knowing how the graduate school experience goes, knowing the requirements, resume, statement of purpose, recommendation letters, um, writing sample, all that. So you can start doing a research. I have a couple of videos on my YouTube that talks about step one to graduate school. so you can find it. But I'm sure there are also like several resources around that you can utilize. So that would be what I would say, especially if it's in a public health field. You also need a West evaluation
Right.
to add to that. Yeah, but I can't break down from start to finish on this call.
Yeah, I think it's very important for me to emphasize what you're saying, and because I see this all the time from my own mentees too, and then somebody just comes and say, "I don't know anything about the process." I mean, this is 2025. We are in a generation of information overload. Like literally, there's no information that you're looking for that you cannot at least find and have the general knowledge. Mentoring, having a mentor, even if you have a mentor that you have paid, which of course you should invest in your process, right? It's not magic. The person, you still need to do a lot of the work yourself. You still need to do the research of kind of understanding the graduate school process, because it's a
Yeah.
long process and you are competing broadly. If you are in Ghana, you are competing with people in India, in China, in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria. You're competing with the whole. You are no longer competing locally. So, and as funding become tighter and tighter, it is no longer ignorance is no longer excuse. It's not enough to say, "Oh, please, I want to know the process." It's like ask a specific question because you have gone to do your own research and something is now confusing, and then you're now like asking, "Oh, Dr. Banda, while I was doing this, how do I solve this? Or
Yeah.
can you help me review this? Can you help me review that?" It shows some level of preparation. Because if you're not even prepared and you stumble into grad school, you may still not even be able
Yeah.
to have the resilience to, to power through and to succeed. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Sunday, I hope our response was helpful to you. Um, Next question is from Heartbeats. Okay. Someone says, I've completed BSc Agriculture with 3.24 to
This
4
is my people.
GPA. Now I want to shift my focus in data science. Amaka, is it possible?
Mm, it's not impossible, right? It's not impossible. Let me start with that. But now you have a BS and you want to shift your focus. I would say you can do a master's degree. There's a lot of data science even in the agricultural space, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like data science for agtech, data science in plant breeding, data science in all of those. Your best bet to getting a scholarship, if you're looking for one, which I believe, because most of the time with all of this grad school thing, Dr. Vanda, if you have the money, it's not that hard. Though.
Yes,
If you have,
yes, yes.
you have the money to pay, it's not as difficult to get in if you can fully sponsor yourself. The challenge is because it's a lot of money and everybody is trying to find
Everybody's looking for
money,
scholarship.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for scholarship. So it's always best for you to align what you're looking for with the background that you have. When you're trying to make that kind of big switch, except you are now taking the extra time to say, go do an internship in a data science company, go do projects,
Yeah.
go do,
Mm-hmm.
like, there has to be connection. There
Yeah.
must be connection. It cannot be, "Oh, now I have a master's degree in plant breeding and I want to go and do a PhD in public health." Like, do you understand? There
Yeah.
has to be a
Yeah.
way for you to tie in that experience to show that, yes, even though I got my bachelor's degree in this, when I finish, I have this 1 year internship experience here, I have this 6 months course that I've done. Show something, build up your CV. If that is really what your passion is, it's not just passion. Reality have to reflect it. There has to be a reflection of that to show this is what you can do. Then you can begin to toe that path. But if you just make that straight switch, and the only thing I see on your GP is BS 3.2 in agriculture, why should I give you a scholarship in data
Yeah.
science?
In data
Would
science.
you do it?
Exactly.
Right? So there has to be more than just having your bachelor's degree in that. So you have to kind of build up that transition. Transition requires time. It
Mm-hmm.
takes time to stack up the skills that help you to pivot. It's not something you do overnight. So you have an interest in something, you begin to stack up the skills, you begin to show social proof. You show that path, the traction that you built over time. And then people can say that, "Oh yeah, even though you started at this point, you were really passionate about this and you went the extra mile to gain all of these experiences in this area. So now we can give you the admission because you are able to show that you can succeed moving forward. Because that's what they base their decision on. That you can
Yeah.
prove that you can succeed moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean that is such an important point. You've highlighted the core issue, the transition phase. What have you done to bridge that transition from
Right.
agriculture to data science, or even
Mm.
from maybe you did biology and you want to transition to public health, or you want to transition to engineering? What have you
Right.
done between those gaps that shows that okay, your interest has really shifted,
Right.
right? That is very important. So you have to look at ways to convince whoever is reviewing your application that okay, even though you have a bachelor's in agriculture, I think what you've done post that degree clearly shows that your trajectory is towards data science.
Sure.
So that
Yeah.
that is very important. Um, okay, we our next question is Abigail Olayemi, which I believe from Nigeria. I have a CGPA of 3/5 in my undergrad and 4 in my master's. Do I stand a chance? I have 3 publications, but not all is published already. Um,
That's That's a bit confusing. You have three publications that are not published. It only becomes a publication when it is
After you
published.
published, yes.
Yeah. So maybe you have a manuscript or you have a draft that you
Mm-hmm.
have. So you cannot count. Nobody cares about anything you've written that is not on the internet space where somebody can find
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't, are you talking about, okay, since you have a master's, I guess you're talking about a PhD. Um, I, how do you, I mean, I'm not a fan of judging by CGPA, but the 3/5, how does it translate to maybe 4 on
Yeah.
the 4 scale?
I think I can do that math quickly.
Yeah. Because I think
Because I think
the US uses the 4 scale. Um, but I mean, yeah. So see, the application process itself is holistic, right? They take into the account your academic performance, your professional experience. If you are applying
2.4.
to, yes, 2.4/4. Okay. If you're applying to a research field, they want to see your research experience, they want to see extracurricular activities, they want to see leadership. All those things must reflect your statement of purpose, recommendations. All those things must reflect to during the application process. However, there are other programs who also make categorically clear that this is their cutoff for a GPA, right? I know Hopkins may say we don't have a limit for GPA, but they want to show that they want you to show that there's been an improvement in your academics. Okay, so for example, in your case, your bachelor's GPA was a bit low, okay, but your master's improved. So they
Really
may say that
improved. Yeah.
okay, this shows that this candidate is capable of surviving. But there are programs who would have a clear cut um, uh, obstacle to getting into their PhD program if you have this GPA. However, what I would also add is that there are most people, especially in the PhD field. I've seen most master's degree from Ghana and Nigeria who departments will review their application and say, we believe you are a strong candidate, but we think you would it would be comfortable for us if you do another masters in our program. So even though you applied for a PhD, they will give you a master's degree because they want to make sure that indeed you have the competencies to be able to survive in a PhD program. So yes, I mean there's never a time that I would say you can't get into a program, but the application process and the package and the materials, everything plays a role. So it's
Right.
about how you tell your story and identifying programs that have a little bit flexibility in terms of their GPA requirement.
Right. Yeah. Just what I'll add to that is that the application review process is usually holistic, and as much as programs would say, some programs would say, "Oh no, we are not considering the CGPA," but the honest truth is that once you have a really low CGPA, then your bar is also higher now. Like
Yeah,
you are going to have to convince me more than someone who is already coming with their shiny first class degree and things like that. So it's good to be aware of that, and then you find other areas where you would use to make yourself stand out. And in this case, that you've gone from a 2.4 to like a 3.5 over 4 thereabout. So that's good. It shows, oh yeah, maybe I made mistake the first time, but now I have improved. But just as Dr. Banda said, some program you can't even apply for. There are programs even within my school, Texas A&M, less than 3 over 4, you cannot even apply. So automatically you've been eliminated from
yeah,
those programs. So your research now is what is going to help you to identify those schools that even gives you the opportunity to make a case. But for some school, you can't even make a case because the portal makes it clear that it has to be 3 over 4. So the research is going to help you. But is it possible? Yes. People with lower GPAs have come to graduate school and excelled. But it just takes that holistic packaging, understanding what you're doing, knowing what your selling point is. Because like selling, right? Graduate school application is just like packaging yourself
yeah.
for selling. So
It's
you
a
need to
marketing
identify your
business.
selling points. Yes, you identify your selling points in a way that makes somebody look at it to say, oh yeah, the CGPA was low, but there is so much potential that we should give this person a chance. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm, okay, we have a couple more, and then I think we have like 5 or 6 minutes in our radar. We have to run. Amaka has another event. Um, Somebody's asking, I think this is a general, Emmanuel
Okay.
Halayaba says, can you help me with ways to stay in touch with professors I once reached out to? Amaka, what do you say about this?
Oh, okay. All right. There is no magic formula to stay in touch with professors. You have to kind of first of all, the good thing, let me start from there. The good thing about schools in North America, US, Canada is that finding information about professors is very easy. It's not like it's so for most schools, it's so structured, it's so well documented. It doesn't take there's no it's not a rocket science to find somebody's
Yeah,
email information about their program and all of those things. It's very easy to access those information. And once you have reached out, first and foremost, how are you packaging the cold email that somebody wants to respond to? That's an important thing because you send someone, they are always getting a lot of emails, they are so stressed out. You send something so generic that does not show that you've even done a little bit of your homework. The chances of being ignored is very high.
very,
There's a
very
very
high.
high chance that you would not get any reply because there's nothing about your cold email that is jumping out at them to say, oh, let me give this a second look. And then another thing is that even though your cold email may be compelling, there's also a chance that somebody just forgets, somebody misses it. It's just, like it falls through the crack. I always tell the people I mentor, I say within 1 week to 2 weeks, send the follow up, re-forward your email, let it come back up, let the person, you give a person a chance to respond. Another thing is that it's also very possible that the person does not even receive the email at all because of where you are sending it from and it's blocked. So it never even lands in their inbox, it goes to their spam, right? So ways to really stay in touch with professors is that once you have made a contact with someone, you want to keep that conversation going. You can even ask professors to introduce you to other professors. Most of the time, that widens your network, and some of them are
Yeah,
willing to do it. Even sometimes somebody will say, "Oh, I don't have funding. I'm not taking any student this year." That's, you don't have to end that conversation there. People would give you that feedback. I've had mentees that professor will say, "Oh, you have a very strong profile, but unfortunately, I don't have funding this year." So you see that that person has a positive attitude towards you. It's just that there is no money. That's the case where you want to say, "Please, could you help me forward my CV and my details to other professors that you think are within the field." Most of them are willing to do that. And most times when they begin to make that kind of bridge for you, it's difficult for that other professors to ignore you because it was their colleague that kind of forwarded it. But
Yeah.
it's up to you to keep the conversation going. And that is where I'd say mentoring comes in, because you don't want to speak out of you really want to be on point with your answers. You want to make sure that you are responding in a way, because there are cultural differences I've seen sometimes my mentees wrote a response that they show me to review, and I'm like, thank God you did not send this. Like sending this would have, like, that's the truth. You realize that these are simple things, right? They are very simple things, but sometimes the wording, the way it's presented, you realize that sometimes it may be presented in a way that is too aggressive, or it's presented in a way that makes you present yourself like a beggar, because scholarship
Yeah.
is not charity.
Yeah.
Charity. It's an investment. So it's just about that nuance of finding the right balance and the right tone. And sometimes it is little things. It is very small things that makes the difference between someone saying, yes, I want that person, or just saying there's something about them that doesn't align. So I
Yeah.
hope all my rambling helped you, Emmanuel, but I wanted to provide some context and different ways that you can really, really get into that networking. And like I said at the beginning, sometimes who you know who you know can make all the difference beyond
Mm-hmm.
what you know. Yeah, just having the
Yeah.
right people advocating for you can make a lot of difference.
And one thing that a professor told me recently is that one of the criteria for filtering out uh, people is those who come out as overly desperate, begging
Someone said,
and
yeah.
adding, please, 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 I need this, I need. She says that really puts her off. You have to be professional, you have to be concise, you have to show that you are providing value, and you have to be specific. The person reading your cold email really should understand that you understand the kind of work they do and you will fit into their team. So I think that is what I'll add to that one. um Somebody's okay. um Metab says, I'm struggling to write my statement of purpose. I'm not sure how to find professor's profile or how to send cold emails effectively. Could you please guide me? What I can say is that all these resources, hopefully you're on LinkedIn. If you are not on LinkedIn, try and get on LinkedIn. All these resources, we provide them for free. How to write statement of purpose, how to send cold emails. If you want to find professors whose research aligns with your roles or your goal, you simply have to go to their department website or the school's
Right.
website. Go to the school's website, filter by department, filter by concentration. So for Hopkins, for instance, you can go to Hopkins, then you go to Department of Epi if you are interested in Epi, Department of Epi, and the website helps you filter by interest, maybe cardiovascular epi. Then you filter, see all the faculty, click on their names individually, go and check the research they are doing, the project they are currently running, whichever aligns with your interest. And then you can send them emails or cold emails, because most of them have their emails at on their website, and it's easy to access to get access to them. So that is what I'll add to that. In terms of how to write a statement of purpose and um, how to write a cold email, they are all available on LinkedIn. Dr. Amaka provides those resources. I also provide those resources. There are a lot of people on LinkedIn that provide resources on how to write a statement of purpose. And even on this YouTube channel, I have a couple of videos that talks about how to write a statement of purpose. So kindly check that out.
Yeah, and let me just add something quick to this. Dr. Banda, something I've noticed, which is like I think it's a sad realization, is that sometimes people having access to information doesn't really help them get it right.
Yeah,
That's
true.
that's the thing. You know, you can give somebody, oh, this is a template, this is how to do it, and all that information is there. Just as Dr. Banda said, like it's there. I saw one resource that you posted one time, and I was looking at it. I was like, if only any aspiring graduate student will sit down and go through all of these things you've provided, everything is there. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing hidden in plain sight. But
Mm-hmm.
I would also tell you from personal experience that having somebody hold your hand can make all that difference. When you do have your statement of purpose, having somebody read it and review it can just be the difference between you getting it right or not getting it right. Yes, first go through the template, look at it, go through it, but just having a mentor who reads it, having a mentor who guides you, that can shorten the journey for you. It did for me, and I've seen that work for people. So that's why I wanted to put that in there. But of course, by all means, if you are disciplined enough to do it on your own, you can. You really really can. There is no you can, but if you know you can't, and your writing is not so great, you're not very good in storytelling and really presenting yourself in the best light, then you want people like Dr. Banda, myself, and several others to be reviewing it to actually see what it is you submit before you
Yeah,
submit it.
yeah, and I mean, as you said, if you really want to sit down and do everything yourself, I know a student I met recently when I went to meet the incoming students at Hopkins, and he was like, from start to finish, all the materials he used, all the resources were from my LinkedIn and my YouTube. He was taking notes, he was listening to the videos, he was reading the documents I've shared, and that is exactly what you need. If you can sit down and analyze things yourself, I think that the process will become easier. So I think unfortunately our time is up. I'll take just one more question. Um, I know we have a couple more. I'll try and answer them later in the comment section on YouTube. But for now, let's try. I think Solomon Abraham, we've already answered some of your questions, so we'll find somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I think some of the questions too are a bit overlapping. So we will just okay, so this is interesting. So our last question is, does it make sense to apply for two different PhD programs in different departments within the same university in the same application cycle? Example, marketing and management. I mean, I'll start by saying sometimes it does make sense if those fields are somewhat related to some extent.
Right.
Right, because I know even myself, when I was applying for a PhD, I applied to the Department of Epidemiology for a PhD in epidemiology, and I also applied to the Department of International Health, the same school, um, with a concentration in global disease epidemiology and control. So those two fields are somewhat related. There's a huge overlap, and you can make a case for both. Just that one has more practical or international exposure than the other. So if marketing and management, you can tell a story to show that yes, these two domains are not very much different, or my interest cuts across these two domains, you can certainly make a case, and especially if the school allows it, right? So I mean, Hopkins, they made it clear that you can apply to multiple programs within the same school, in different departments. So that is certainly possible. But what you don't want to do is to apply to two entirely different fields in the same school. It means that you don't know what you're doing, especially
I
for a
know what you
PhD
want.
program
Yeah.
where you really need to be certain as to which field you want to go into. So Amaka, if you want to add anything to this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think your answer is right on point. The only one thing you want to avoid when you are presenting your case for graduate school for PhD, even if you are uncertain inside your heart, just make sure that the story you are telling does not come off as I don't know what I want. That's the quickest way to get yourself eliminated from the process, where your package comes across of, oh, it's either this or it's that, and then it's two different things, right? So even as you reach out to professors, even as you put together your package, so of course you can apply to programs that are related. But if it's a program that has no relationship, you cannot be telling me you are passionate about A and then you're passionate about Z. It's like you make up your mind. So be very strategic. Instead of doing that, you can spread out to different schools. Be passionate about one thing in one school and be passionate about another thing in one school. You are the only one that really knows. But let your package come across as sure. Like, I'm really, really sure this is the field I want to go into. This is something that if you give me the opportunity, I'm going to excel in it. Because the admitting officers, they want you to excel as much as you want to excel. So they are taking their time to make those selections because they don't want to bring students on board that will come and they struggle so much and they fall on the wayside and they're not able to move forward. They understand the trauma of bringing students from 6,000 miles away, for example, like Nigeria, and you come to graduate school and you cannot meet up. So now they are saddled with you, they don't know what to do with you. So they go through that rigorous process of just making sure that when you do come on board, you would have the discipline and the resilience to move forward. So always make sure that your application, your package comes across as sure as like, yes, I'm really willing to commit and excel in this field. Yeah. So that's what I will add.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And thank you to everybody who joined us for this Saturday Q&A. We had I think about 60 at the peak who were watching us and sharing their thoughts. So before we go, Dr. Maka, any last words? Where can they find you? I know you're mostly on LinkedIn and you recently opened a YouTube channel. So where
Right.
can listeners or viewers see some of the good work you're doing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you again for the invitation. I'm really happy to be learning a bit about YouTube. I'm hoping that in the coming months or so, I would be a bit more present on YouTube, just as you mentioned. So you can look me up on YouTube and follow my channel. I think I have like 400 subscribers. So if you follow my channel, that would be nice. That would make me happy, right? If you're trying to do something for me, follow my channel. That will be, you can search the name, it's still the same name, it's Dr. Amaka Ifeduba. So that will make me happy. And then of course I'm more on LinkedIn. I literally post on LinkedIn every day and it's still the same name. So connect with me, see what we are doing at Scholar of Mentoring Academy, see how you can be a part of what we are doing, and I'm always happy to support you. I truly, truly believe in the power of mentoring. It changed my life, and so that's why I'm intentional too with other people who I mentor and support. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Somebody wants our emails. The best way to get in touch with us is on LinkedIn. So get on LinkedIn, search for Dr. Amaka, search for my name. You would likely find a way to get in touch with us. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It's been an exciting morning. Hopefully, we can bring you more of this in the coming weeks as the application cycle opens up. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
For public health, I'm here with.
Preeti Shakya. I'm in the MPH program.
Okay, so Preeti, you are in the MPH program. MPH is 11 months. It's pretty fast. How has your experience been so far?
The experience has been wonderful to say the least. The fact that I get to be here every day really excites me. The fact that I get to collaborate and contribute to the wonderful public health initiatives, and the fact that I am making a huge difference out there really has enriched my experience here in Bloomberg.
Okay, so you are one of the lucky SOMA scholars. As a SOMA scholar, how is the experience being outside of the academic work?
Yeah, definitely. Like I think I'm one of the lucky ones out there. So I think as Summer Scholars, there are certain perks that we get. I really have drawn a lot from the leadership experiences that have been entailed just for the Summer Scholars, and I've benefited a lot from the networking activities, and having to get to learn the fellow Summer Scholars up close and personal has been really wonderful.
Okay, so as you're graduating in May, what are your plans post graduation with the Hopkins MPH?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to take the knowledge and skills that I gained in Hopkins places, and I see myself working in the nonprofit sector or international health agencies.
Okay, so any final words for people back home who may be thinking on getting an MPH in the US? Any last words?
Yeah, definitely. First is dream big, and believe in yourself and trust the process.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Cornelius Nomeshi. I'm a medical doctor from Ghana. I completed my MPA degree at the Harvard THM School of Public Health this past summer. Last year, during my application process, I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Banda Khalifa, who is a friend and a senior colleague. Dr. Banda's knowledge and experience of the graduate application process made it easier to write an outstanding personal statement, also aim for the right test scores and finding the right people to write recommendation letters for me. He also gave me a really good insight about the funding landscape available for me for my education. I was able to get admission into most of the top schools that I applied for, including Johns Hopkins, Columbia University, Boston University, and then Harvard University. Yeah, so if you are actually looking to advance your studies and you're looking for a good and friendly coach, I'll recommend no other person than Dr. Banda. Thank you.
Pick on opportunities with intention. I don't just grab opportunities. I make sure that this opportunity aligns with my interest, and then I commit to it. So planning your schedule, learning to say no, and then not following the crowd, because what typically happens is that when you start your journey, a lot of your mates will be taking several different courses, and some of them will be doing a lot of certificates. So you are also, you feel the pressure to go and take on a lot of courses just to get a certificate. But I don't think it's worth the mental health or the mental stress that you go through getting a certificate while also trying to network, because one important aspect of coming to Bloomberg is to get to know people, is to get to know faculty, is to get to know the various centers that are doing amazing work. So look at the Empower. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Check the options and then you can also check in how long you're gonna be paid. So for example, for me, it's important that I do it for a short time because the amount is small, and I also don't want to be paid for a long time. If I have to have it, so think of like how many years do I want to invest, like how much money how much, and then think about the choices and execution.
Yeah.
Are not getting paid for a reason, so they're very professional for the one I'm not promoting anyone, but
Yeah.
just talking about my experience. I took mine from assistantships.
Okay.
The process is very easy, straightforward. I had a cosign, and their process is very easy, straightforward. Their customer support is really good. So think of all these things that makes your life much easier, and that you don't have to go through any hassle. So do your research, talk to students. That really makes it easy.
Hello everyone, I am Emmanuel Animashao. I'm a Nigerian physician. I met Dr. Banda sometime last year. I remember I had a very difficult time trying to prepare my application packages to schools of public health in the United States, and I went online in search of information, and then I came across his LinkedIn profile. I remember I connected with him, and then I spent a long day going through his profile, and I found really very interesting things where he had shared insights into a lot of the application, a lot of components of the application process. I also eventually got to follow his YouTube account, saw a lot of videos, and I saw that he had a lot of stuff that were quite inspiring. For one, I liked the fact that he had gone through the process. He had really nice admission offers when he was going to move to the United States, and that gave me some sort of assurance that he had gone through it, and I could as well go through the same process that he had gone through using the advice that he had given. It was really helpful. He also organized a couple of live sessions. I remember where he brought in faculty, people who were in charge of admissions in some of these schools, and that was really very helpful for me. And I followed this process. Basically, I followed through with everything that he recommended, and I got really good results. At the end of the application cycle, I got admitted into Johns Hopkins University, Harvard, Yale, Emory, and I mean, those were I really didn't apply to much schools because I sort of believed in the processes that he had outlined, and I got admitted into the schools that I applied to, and I got really good scholarship offers too. I eventually chose to come to Hopkins, where I'm currently enrolled in the MPH.D dual degree program, and I must say it was also very helpful in selecting which school I would eventually come to, because I had a really tough time trying to decide. When you have really good offers, you have a hard time deciding, and it was very helpful. I recommend that everyone who is applying to schools of public health or to graduate school generally in the United States should definitely follow Dr. Banda on his LinkedIn, his YouTube, follow him everywhere, and you can be rest assured that he's always ready to answer your questions and attend to your concerns. You don't even have to necessarily always speak with him. Just by following his pages and following up with the activities, you definitely are on a good path. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. My name is Arman Jamal, and 2 years ago, I completed my undergraduate degree in molecular and cell biology at the Johns Hopkins University. I'm currently a first-year PhD student in epidemiology at the University of Chicago. This past cycle, I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Banda Khalifa through my graduate school application process. Dr. Khalifa specifically helped me with personal statement reviews, coming up with a story for my personal statement, thinking about what schools to apply to, working on my CV, and finally through the interview process. Dr. Banda was super helpful, always there to answer any of my questions. And he was super encouraging. As someone who wanted to do a PhD in epidemiology without a master's degree, Dr. Banda was always there for me and always encouraging me to strive for what I wanted, which was to do a PhD. And through his help and the help of my mentors, I had several admissions in top schools like the University of Chicago, Stanford, and Hopkins. And for anybody wanting to apply to graduate school, I highly recommend talking to Dr. Khalifa about it.
Hi, my name is Sharon Kabo, and I'm a medical doctor from Ghana. I'm currently a dual MPH MBA student at the Johns Hopkins University. During my application process, I met Dr. Banda Khalifa, who helped me throughout the process, from the selection of my schools to my recommenders, and even the entire SUPAS process. He helped put the application together, which helped me to finally gain admission to most of the schools that I selected, which includes the Brown University, Columbia University, University of Pennsylvania, and Johns Hopkins University, where I'm currently enrolled. I'd like to recommend his YouTube channel to you and his LinkedIn channel. Finally follow him for any tips you will need to make the application process and an easy one.
Hi, my name is Ama Isuman, and I'm a physician from Ghana. 2 years ago, I decided to apply for the dual degree MPH and MBA at Hopkins. So I went onto the Hopkins website and looked for current and past students who had gone through the program. And I was happy to see a Ghanaian face there. I saw Dr. Banda on the Hopkins website. So I looked him up on LinkedIn, reached out to Dr. Banda on LinkedIn because I had specific questions about the dual degree MBA MPH program here and about the summer scholarship as well, because I was interested in, he was doing the program under the summer scholarship. He answered my questions, helped me assess my fit for the program, and down the line also told me through how to communicate with the school officials with some of the different questions I had and who to talk to as well.